you have a lot of people lacking emotional intelligence trying to coach other people
That's
about
a
their
strong one,
emotional intelligence.
If now we're at the dinner table, and then now you're bringing up that thing again that we spoke about, you're keeping account of the injury.
Yeah, because I just find it like what they would call a taboo, and like I say, our parents, just bless them, like they were dismissed and the forgotten, or just sweep them to the side. Like they couldn't even talk about the menopause. I never heard my mum talk about the menopause. I never, to coming to think of it, I never heard my mum speak about the menopause. Thank you. Hi friends, my name is Christina. Welcome to my YouTube channel.
What I was saying about the menopause thing, it's something that, like you say, it is taboo.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it, from my understanding, from like a male perspective when I was growing up, there's always this thing around women and their age.
Yeah.
Some women don't want to tell you their age, and menopause is something associated with old age. So it was like it wasn't talked about also for that reason.
Yeah.
From even as a little kid, I realized.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Which was wrong, I think, because I think our parents again should have been educated.
Right.
And that's why I think that was a trauma they handed down to our generation. That stigma still carries on when it comes to the menopause. It's like we're the disregarded, forgotten, as I said before. The disregarded, forgotten, especially when you're in your 50s. It's like they class you as maybe your time. It's, you're kind of retired. But no, the time we're living in now, and like I will always say, that time that we were brought up in no longer exists. No longer exists. We're living in a new era, 21st century. So I think there needs to be a lot more awareness when it comes to the menopause, because it's a serious condition that all women, if not all, will go throughout their life, and it needs to be normalized. Because there's a lot that goes with it. There's a lot of awareness, I think, for men to know about their wives, their partners, because as a woman with the menopause, you feel like a whole different, like you're not yourself.
Right.
Like you're in a foreign body. So you get mood swings, depression, anxiety. And let's not talk about the joint pains, the hip pain, the headaches, insomnia.
The real physical part of it,
yeah. Then the psychological part of it is where you hear a man will say, my wife has gone mad. Is what's going on.
And I'll take
the
it further,
psychosis.
because you mentioned a good point. Men, husband and the wives, and husbands understanding that. But take it a step further, the children.
Yeah.
Imagine being a young boy, or being a young child at all. If you have a parent that's gotten to that point in their life, and sometimes I correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes it comes on early for some. So imagine a child now having a menopausal mother.
Yeah.
And not understanding why she's
like
the way she is.
Yeah.
And it comes off as, my mom doesn't like me.
That's it, yeah.
So that could be a big part. Or even as a young man, you start bumping heads and having conflict with your mother.
With your mom.
But you don't know. It doesn't dawn on you. Because either you don't know, or we also have a tendency of, that's my mom.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about, this is a human being that has, like we all will at some point, go through some sort of changes and so on and so forth.
And that's what it is the changes. Because your estrogen, estrogen and estrogen, the levels drop drastically.
Yeah.
And so the changes obviously will happen.
Yeah.
And so how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And it's just the physical impact on what it has on a woman. And I think a lot more awareness when it comes to the man. As a wife, as a partner, you need to speak to your partner, and the man needs to show what's the word? Empathy.
Yeah.
And patience.
And patience. Because in a way, I don't know if men go through the menopause as well as something that I need to research. I think you do.
We go through, from what I can tell. Again, because being around my uncle and watching everyone get older. And you kind of see it at home when you're going through a change, and it's like your mind is telling you one thing, but your body is not reacting to what the mind is telling it to do.
Thank you.
And as a man, who, especially the more independent you are, the harder it is to come to terms with. I'm going down. Like I'm on my decline.
Yeah.
You know.
You're not able-bodied, like.
Right.
And not only that, I think you men just don't talk about things full stop. You just keep everything within. And I don't know why. That's another thing I want to find out, why men find it so hard to express themselves.
We do talk. We just don't talk to women like that.
So do you talk among yourself about
Yeah.
how you feel?
That's true.
I've heard that so much. I'm telling you.
Okay, so
Ever since I was a young man, my friends and I, even that friend that passed, we talked about, like, he was adopted. We talked about how that made him, mind you, I'm probably 13, he's 16. He's talking about how that made him feel, and me and my father not being around, and so on and so forth. We talk about these things.
Right.
What happens is you don't talk about these things because, again, this has always come from women. You will find that men we do talk to each other.
Trusted circle.
That's where these places, you women have their places. We have our barber shops.
No,
we
but
have
then,
the gym. We have all these places where you have these
but
conversations.
as your wife, as your girlfriend, as your fiance, you want to share and communicate how you're feeling, and vice versa, so you can have that understanding. And that's why I think communication in relationships is so important. And if you're lacking that, that's a big part of the relationship that you're cutting out.
Yeah.
You're dismissing.
I can tell
and
you
that's
from
where issues start.
From experience, not just the communication, but the trust. And the trust in the sense that I have to know and be able to trust that when I tell you what truly hurts me, what's bothering me, get that vulnerable, that later on down the line, when I upset you or we're in a tiff, that you're not going to use that information against me. And I've had that happen to me.
So based on experience.
Based on experience. I've had that happen, and other men have had that happen. So it's like the minute, because again, it's how we tend to exert our power, right? We're more physical. We're more so physical. The power that you all have is in the tongue. Just like I was joking but serious that a woman can make a man, tear down a building with his bare hands if she just knows how to talk to him. But also she knows how to tear that man down based on how she talks to him. So I've went through it, and I've spoken to other friends and stuff that have shared something vulnerable with a girl, and the minute, because now that's ammunition, because you can't physically fight me.
You hold back on.
So what you're gonna use is your words. So you're gonna cut me, and now I've given you this information that's deep, that will get to me. Now you use it against me, and then once something has been said, especially keep in mind. A part of that aspect that you were talking about, how we aren't so apt to show our vulnerabilities. Now, what do you think? What happens when I do show my vulnerability, and then you use it against me?
I don't think it should be thought that way, though.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be
thought that way. But I'm telling you what is.
what it is. Yeah. But I think you men and we as women, that narrative needs to be changed. It needs to be spoken about a lot more. We all, as women, as men, need to tell our stories so we can come together to support one another. Because that breaks the relationship. Like, especially you find how you've been married for so many years, and a woman gets to that late 40s and 50s, and she's going through that menopause, and then you see the man as well. Then you see them to edge apart because the man will say, "This woman is crazy." Literally, it's not that she's crazy. She's going through a whole lot of body changes.
But that's where the man needs to be understanding.
That's what I'm saying, empathetic.
But also keep in mind, now she's going through her, like you said, mood swings and things. So now,
and it's normal. It's natural.
Yeah, but in conflict in those moments with this physiological change that's going on, what's being said?
Exactly.
How is she talking to that man? Is she belittling him and down? Because now he's also, if you're close in age, he's also going through the phase that we talked about, right?
Yeah.
So you have two people going through. I am no longer the person I used to be, even though my mind is telling me one thing and my body's telling me different. And I'm struggling with it because it's like you have a whole new body again. Yeah. It's like going through puberty and you're like, all this stuff is new. You know, I'm bumping into things and I'm like, it's just a whole new body. It's the same thing, but now it's on the negative and the decline.
Yeah.
And you're going through your thing, and I'm not understanding you, but I'm going through my thing, and you're talking to me like I'm scum of the earth. And then I have to sit here and support you. And then we know, just in society, you can Google it on your phone. See how many men support groups there are. But
there's not many though.
No.
But that's because you guys don't talk. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you find another way, like you said, maybe the gym. I don't know. Maybe, you know.
No, but I'm saying we're talking at the gym. We're talking at the barbershops and things like that.
That's it, the barbershop.
Right? But it's not. There's literally governmental backing for women's support. There's not so much coming forth
and
with
why
governmental
do you think that is?
backing.
You know, before even going into the governmental thing, just let me read it back just for one thing. Like how you said, the barbershop. Yeah. I'm just thinking about it deeply. I'm thinking, for one, maybe it's because in a barbershop, why would you talk with a barber? I asked my barber, how's everything going? I kind of overheard everything he was talking about. Sorry that you're going through I think it's the right questions are being asked, because is your missus or your lady, is she asking you the right questions which will then make you open up? That's one thing. Like, if it's not you opening up to her, is the person on the other end gonna ask you the right questions? Because
I find men can be very dismissive.
Okay, now let me say something. Again, with everything you said,
just
he
down
might
to
be being
experience as well,
and
not in a rude way, but it's just his way of saying, "I don't want to talk about this."
And why? Maybe there's a reason. Like just as Jonathan was saying, because if you have one, it's likely he might dismiss it or not. Maybe not want to go with you specifically. Maybe because of the fact that if you have belittled him in the smallest way before, or we no longer have a clean slate when it comes to biting at each other. Yeah. If we don't have a clean slate, then I know that somewhere down the line you're gonna bite this is gonna bite me. So since we don't have a clean slate, I'm not even gonna bother open up with you. So if you do have a clean slate, that's where trust comes in.
Exactly.
So if the
trust, that's what I was talking about.
If the trust has already been in the slightest kind of damaged, then the man he might give you two nice opportunities in it and open up.
So what you're saying, if the trust has been compromised,
in the smallest way. Because then now it's like, okay, well, she's just gonna attack me with it. Watch when she's unhappy. You always do this. You remember.
So can I bring it back to? Obviously, I know we're not talking about the Bible here, but I'm gonna throw that in. Yeah. When the scripture's talking about the husband loving your wife and the women respecting their husband, is that not also part of it?
It is, but
we're looking at it from a Bible stand.
But also keep in mind the Bible also says better to be up in the roof in the corner of a house than in a wide house, in a big house with a contentious woman.
And plus it also...
So it depends on the woman, it depends on the man.
And it also depends on, again, what is true love. It says love doesn't keep count of the injury. So if now we're at the dinner table and then now you're bringing up that thing again that we spoke about, you're keeping account of the injury. Yeah. So, because you've done that to me twice now.
So I've got that in me, like nah. So you're gonna have that. What's that?
The minute you say you always do this.
Yeah.
It's done.
It's done.
And we are literally risk reward calculators, right?
Meaning.
Because. So on the surface level, we're bickering back and forth. You're not respecting me. I'm not respecting you. So on and so forth. And you said men might be dismissive. Because I know if I say the wrong things, what happens? What's the result of this? Divorce. What happens in divorce? If a man have acquired anything, he has a chance of losing his children, losing a house, losing a car. All these things that come with it, whereas it's not the same it might not be the same aspect that you're looking through or lens that you're looking through. So it's like part of
There's
that
a lot for the man
dismissive
to
is
do
a
then.
lot of men who will sit in a marriage, and they will sit through a marriage even though they're not happy.
No, that goes both ways, you know.
I'm sure it goes both
Both
ways,
ways.
but guess what? Guess who leads in filing for divorce?
Nowadays, or we
No,
talking
no.
about in
In
general?
general.
In general.
For a long time, women lead in filing for divorces.
And can I, if you don't mind, I want to again go read it back as well, because when what you said about men don't really talk, and then Jonathan said he used to talk with his friend about.
I'm just
certain
going
things.
by when you say that. I'm just going by statistics, like.
Okay. Yes, you're right.
And
You're right.
these are through trials and research, and just when it comes to even men's mental health. Now we're talking about that. It's the month of June, and it's the awareness of men's mental health month. I don't think, despite everything you've said, I agree with you, but I don't think you guys talk enough as men.
Because we used to.
You
maybe
don't.
So.
I don't think you do.
Well,
Not as much as maybe.
I just reckon you just
Here's
keep
the
your
thing.
feelings in, and though you say you're talking about it at the barber shop or at the gym.
We find outlets.
Yeah. And also how we talk, right? Problem. Solution.
Yeah, that's it.
We don't have to go here and go on a diatribe about my feelings, and it started when like I'm sitting there talking to a full therapist. It's like, okay, let's identify the root to the problem real quick. Let's not go on this whole journey.
But do you
of this
agree
thing.
for to talk to someone professionally when it comes to your feelings? May I ask?
I
How do you- what's
as
your
long
take
as that.
on that?
My thing is this: who is that person? Because some people I've seen, I've encountered. Most recently, I met someone in Atlanta who's a licensed therapist, and she tries to focus on relationship. Well, guess what? I come to realize in her own fault, she's not good in relationship because she was actually doing something that was dishonest, although she was in a relationship, right? And you find out a lot of these therapists, this is a person that just goes and acquires knowledge. It doesn't mean that they're sound in the teaching or they practice it themselves. So if I'm going, or that they don't have bias. So if I go into a room, and this happens often, especially couples therapy that I hear, our cousin tried therapy. The minute the therapist was starting to find fault in the wife, she stopped going.
Oh wow.
Wait, the therapist.
The therapist was starting talking to them both, and
So they were
starting
both
to
going
target
together?
in. Yeah, it was starting to target in on his wife, and she stopped going. Because if
the wife
stopped going.
Okay.
But if the therapist was focusing on him, she was. When anytime there was an issue with him, she's all for it. Yeah. But the minute it switched to her and like, these are your faults,
She stopped going.
stop going.
And I think it's an individual thing though as well.
Right. But the therapist is for me personally. If I'm going to go into a therapist, I need to know what is at the
Background?
basis. And what is the foundation in which this person's
Basing their knowledge
beliefs,
on
not even just the
beliefs and
knowledge, but how they conduct themselves, how they view the world, and are they able to be consistently non-biased,
which is what it should be.
in an assessment, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, like, I pay a lot of attention to the internet, so I'm seeing a lot of young therapists, young people who if you're 30 years old, you still, as you know,
Oh yeah.
you
Even the
thought
man's,
you thought you knew the world.
it takes to be in your late 20s before the man's frontal. What's it
It's
called?
not
Frontal
just
lobe
men's; it's everyone.
develop. Even more so men.
But
The frontal lobe to develop.
regardless of the
regardless-
fact is that young people at 30-something year olds,
You're not. I don't think
you
you've gone
don't
through
think
life
you've
as
known.
in
Yeah.
until you hit your 50s. Like for those who are in their 50s,
That's
60s,
right.
I could teach you a thing or
Right.
two from based on experience.
So you have a lot of people
I
lacking.
get where he's coming from.
You have a lot of people lacking emotional intelligence, trying to coach other people
That's
about
a
their
strong one,
emotional
emotional
intelligence.
intelligence.
Yeah, it's very true. And me personally, before I would go to the therapist, I would consult among trusted friends.
Yeah. Okay, I agree with you.
Because even, I'm sure there must be all of us in the world with someone that spoke to us who's not a therapist and they gave sound good advice and you think, wow, I might try that, or yeah, thank
My
you.
brother
Thanks.
actually spoke about that a few days ago. He said exactly what you just said, you know, and then obviously he talked about the Bible as well. You know, he gives sound reasons and help, and through trusted friends.
Yeah.
You know,
You just ask, hey, what do you think about?
Yeah, yeah. So I suppose we all deal with it differently, but I think based on experience and from what I know, I just find that men, you know. But then for the reasons you just gave, I can understand and agree with you to a certain extent.
But sorry.
Yeah, that may be the reason.
Yeah. And just to, again, when I think about it now, see, remember we were talking about, I might have started losing my point, talking to a therapist. But when you're asking a trusted friend or someone who you think you could trust, that is therapy in itself because you're talking to someone about a problem.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you're hearing it out loud and you can work through it.
So you think through that conversation, you can then go back and self-reflect.
Yeah,
And
if
work
you're
on
if you're
yourself.
Three
introspective.
people, I think getting 3 different viewpoints,
Yeah.
weighing up what 3 people have told you. There's always once there's a pro you can take from there,
Yeah.
then it's worth a try.
Yeah.
Because the therapist is going to give you some pros, and some things you might think is cons, but they're going to tell you some pros, and you might just pick. I'm going to
Therapy
take
in the whole
this
is
and
just
that.
about working.
Speaking to
So most times the therapists don't even speak; they just listen to you.
For you to get it
And
off your chest.
yeah, so for example, CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. So it's for you to work on your behavior, on how you see things. So for example, last week, what was you doing when I still go through therapy to this day. I've been going through it for over, probably 30 years now. So from the age of 18. So it makes you reflect. It makes you go back and you write onto the drawing board. What was I doing last week on Monday when I was feeling happy? So maybe I went to the cinema. Maybe I went to the museum. Maybe I read a book.
When you was feeling happy,
When I
or
was
what?
feeling good. So what
Or
did
what
I
made
do?
you happy, feel happy.
Yeah. So what did I do? So those are the things that I did to make me feel a certain way. Okay. On Wednesday, why was I feeling down? Because I woke up in the morning. Maybe the weather was not good, like our weather
that's
in
number
London.
one, yeah.
And then maybe the Tuesday, the Wednesday, the Thursday, I just stayed indoors, not really talking to anybody. So I just started to think, what is this life? What am I doing with myself? I started to feel down on yourself. So when you pick up on that, okay, I felt good because I went to the cinema. So the impact of that was it made me feel good. Or I went to visit friends. So then you start to implement those things. So you
More
say, well, I'm not
regularly,
going to sit down. I'm going to go find a museum. I'm going to go on tour. I'm going to book a holiday. That could be therapy for you. Like what we're doing here.
Yeah.
You know, this could be therapy.
Yeah.
Therapeutic.
In talking to someone, 2 points. In talking to someone, it's always best. I don't care what you're talking about. I've come to realize there's so many people out here giving advice in things that they aren't themselves either practicing or have been successful in.
Yeah.
So why are you talking to your 3 single friends who have never been able to maintain a relationship
So it
long
should
enough?
be based on experience.
Not
so
just
you
experience,
selective
but
with
also
girls.
being. It's like some people will listen to their friends who could about maintaining a marriage who themselves are divorced 3 times. But in the same sense, the logic I'm pointing at here, you would not listen to a person who's never been a millionaire try to tell you how to be a millionaire.
Or someone, for example, I'm going to put it down to obviously recently, you guys know I've lost a lot of weight. So I've gone to see a dietitian, but the dietitian is overweight. How am I listening to that person? But then I don't want to stereotype. So maybe that person has got a lot of knowledge, but I don't know what personal issues or whatever that's made them to get to that. So do I say, oh, that person is big, so I'm not going to listen to them? No, that's my. Can you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
So
Because
what make you-
everything's a case by case. Because again, So, because that's only one part of it. Because and then it's what type of advice you're giving. One thing I used to say to my friends early on is that I just know for me personally, and this would be the one advice that I would offer is, if you talk to somebody and all their option, their answer is always leave them, leave that person, break up. Like, it's never what's the issue, how to resolve it.
Dissected, like.
Is it did it start off healthy? Can you get back to that place? Like, you should be trying to mend and not always start over and start over and start over and start over, because then you'll just be starting over and starting over. Whatever it is in life, you'll just be quitting and starting over and starting over and never accomplishing it.
You want to work on
so
what it is you need to fix or help.
But I mean, I have a friend that it bothers me every time she does this, and because I know she's insecure. I could see, but she puts on a front like she's happy. Like, every year when her divorce comes around, it's like a divorce anniversary, and like you're posting it, and this is not something to be celebrated.
Something to be happy about, is it really?
And that's the culture that we're in. They're having divorce parties and people posting about it. And granted, what he did was wrong, right? He stepped out on the marriage.
But there's always two, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but even if it's not, even if you did, we can say, whatever you did is not, it was not cause for what he's done to, dismantle your relationship. At the same sense, the celebration of it, like, that is not a good thing. Especially you have a child together. Your home has been broken up.
That child has
this
been broken
child
up.
Is going to be affected. I don't care how much of a super parent you try to be.
It's still going to be lacking in something.
It took two people to have this child. It's going to take two sound people to raise this child. To put the odds in their favor to be to come out the best, well-rounded, stable person that they can be. Right? So you're not going, I don't care, and it's going to wear on you. Now, as a woman, you're trying to, now the weight is all on you. Then you haven't resolved this conflict. You're hurting. You're trying to put on this front. Then your child's growing up. Now, as you get older in age, you just drag that boulder. You just been dragging that boulder up the mountain for years and years and years, and now you hit another. Now you attach an ankle boulder of menopause and all this stuff,
which is the subject at hand. The
right.
Menopause,
So you start going through all these things, and this is how the total thing happens, and then that person, now that person's giving advice. And that person's just sitting down with a friend.
I just think we all need to be taught a lot of awareness for so many reasons, and more so now, the time we're living in. I think we just need to speak up a bit more, advocate
and listen,
and listen, because I just find it like what they would call a taboo, and like I say, our parents, just bless them, like they were dismissed and the forgotten, or just sweep them to the side, like they couldn't even talk about the menopause. I never heard my mum talk about the menopause. I never, coming to think of it, I never heard my mum speak about the menopause. Thank you. My grandmother, I never heard her speak about the menopause. So I'm going back in the 70s,
Maybe
80s.
they never knew about it,
No, that's what I'm saying. So how they suffered in silence, and they didn't know themselves. And I think now that we know,
and more advanced,
I think the doctors need to speak about it more, and bring about more groups and more, like, just a teaching tool for people to know about this thing called menopause, and create spaces where people can come out and say, look, I'm proud. This is one part of my life that I know I have to go through, and embrace it. But how can you help me deal with the way I'm feeling, so that I can go about not feeling bad about myself?
Which then contributes to the frustration and piling up on those emotions that you're trying to, like, kind of fend off as you're going through this thing. I totally agree, because I told you, I literally in the garden 2 weeks ago, I was literally thinking about that.
Wow.
Because I was just thinking about my mom and how we have this thing, and it never dawned on me, like, wow. Yeah. Has she hit that stage? We never had the conversation. But I start to think about how certain things she said to me, and it just seemed out of left field.
Yeah.
And naturally, because of our history, naturally I'm triggered by that.
Yeah.
So now I'm attacking because I'm thinking, you're just coming at me, not you're being triggered by something and you're emotional.
And what you said
and
was
stuff.
quite
But
something when you said about the age thing. You're going through the menopause, so you're old.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
so
Because
people don't
that's
want
the
to
stigma.
oh, yeah.
And you don't want to be, none of us want to be called old, feel
But we're
old.
not old though. I mean, I'm in my 50s and I'm thinking like life has just started.
when you're frail, that's when I might consider you old then. But
Like
once
you
you're
see,
still able,
even men in their 70s, in their 80s, they're still getting up, going to work every morning.
the guy who takes
Like-
us on the mountain, he's 69.
There you go. Like life has just begun.
Roger just told me whoever's above him is 90 years old.
Who above
And
him?
the guy drives, I guess his boss or whoever.
yeah.
Guy
I know
is
this
90 years old and drives, I think it's like almost 2 hours every day to work. And he plays hockey.
So can you see that?
I've seen. Oh,
Thank
I've seen it.
you.
Thank you very much.
At 90 years old, that is
Thank you.
unheard of.
Oh, that's dry.
Oh, thank you
Everything's
very
right.
much.
Sorry guys, we're multitasking here. We just finished having a lovely meal. Moroccan. How was your meal?
Oh, it was good. The chicken was really good.
Really good. And how was yours?
It was nice. The lamb is very well done.
Tendered, isn't it?
It's soft.
Yeah, and I've had
Was
what
it?
I can have, and I'll keep the rest for tomorrow.
Same. And I haven't had no
Dessert?
flaw with the lamb. Not one.
Not
All
one.
I did was just take off the little bit of fat that was on
There
it,
you
and
go.
that fell off with ease. So it wasn't no fight.
It just-
it wasn't no fight
You
at
wasn't
all.
fighting with the meat.
No, I wasn't. I was every bite. I was like, oh, this is really
It's good, yeah. So I love
It's
their
nice to
food.
eat and then not feel super like real lethargic and tired afterwards.
I know, right?
Because
Even though we are
it's
tired?
a heavy meal, but it's not from this. Like, I
No.
feel
Yeah.
no
We're tired
different.
from-
Yeah, just the day and traveling and all that.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't feel bloated, and that's what I'm telling you. It was amazing to me to go back home, or even just watch my body change. And I'm eating,
Yeah.
and in the UK, I'm eating, and I'm not putting on the weight like I would back home.
Back home.
And I hear it's even better in places like Italy and
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that.
And
even
they,
though
like I said, they eat
pasta.
late.
Yeah.
But it's how much they eat and what they eat.
Yeah.
I
And
noticed.
it's what's in the food, how this stuff is,
Yeah.
you know, this meat, whether it's raised, has GMOs in it, or
Injected with stuff.
injected with stuff,
Yeah.
the rice, corn, anything. I don't think I've seen corn since I've been here. I'm sure they have it, but I
They
haven't
have
seen
corn.
it.
There is corn out there
Okay.
in the market, yeah. So what a lovely conversation we just had, guys. So leave your comments down below, you know, with just anything you want to add to what, you know, the two brothers have just stated here and what I'm saying about men just bottling up their feelings and women with the menopause. I spoke about that recently, but, you know, Jonathan just pointed out, you know, how his mum or grandmother might have been feeling with the way they expressed themselves towards maybe him, and not knowing that they were feeling some kind of way because of the menopause. Now that's something serious that I didn't even think about.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
know,
Very
you know, because they were going through their own feelings and through how they felt and dealing with it themselves, and not even maybe knowing themselves. But I just want
Knowing
like
that aspect about
the
themselves.
aspect, yeah. I just think for the time and age that we're living in now, a lot more needs to be done, and that's to the doctors and the experts and the medical, you know, doctors and the professionals out there when it comes to the menopause, when it comes to men, and like you said, there's not enough support groups, would you say, when it comes to men, talking about just coming together as a group, as we women will come together and talk.
And when we do talk, our words not being dismissed, because that's
Yeah.
another aspect that I've noticed a lot, especially
Oh.
amongst when these conversations are had. Literally in the conversation, I've seen men say, "This is why we don't do this," or "This is how I feel," and it's like,
And
well,
it's
you
true.
shouldn't feel that way.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's not the point.
I
Like,
think
how do
women
you just
feel.
dismiss me?
Can I just talk about from a woman's point of view, being married as well? I just think sometimes we women feel like you guys are not hearing us. You dismiss us. So when we say it, you just dismiss it. And whereas, look what I've just learned about how you're feeling, and the reason behind how you're feeling is because of, you know, how the woman might have spoken to you in the relationship, and you've kind of lost trust
To be
within
able
that.
to go so deep.
Yeah. So I think we all have things to work on, both women and men. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a
Can we
society,
can we
'cause it's
say
shown.
that?
Yeah. And I think it's important to have at least someone that you can open up and talk to.
So what you're saying,
These
not
things
just a
about-
therapist, a professional.
Not just a therapist,
Just
but
anyone.
a trusted confidant, like that you can
Talk
speak to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, and just again going back, I forgot that we used to do this. We used to do something called RTD.
What's that?
I eventually joined it. It stood for round table discussion. So like me and my friends, all boys.
You know what that sounds like? What's the Jada Pinkett Red Table Talk?
Oh God.
Let's not go there.
Let's
Let's
not.
let-
Let's
we-
not.
we
That is
won't
not
go
the
there.
same.
Ours was way low,
Ooh.
nothing like
So
that.
RTD,
But we'll
round
do it.
table talk. That's
Like,
a good one, guys.
yeah,
Maybe
round-
we start
round table
something,
di-
round
round-
table talk.
Round table discussion,
Mm.
and then like I would say something. What's happening? You just literally, what's happening with you?
Yeah.
I like
And
that.
is there anyone that you're feeling? Anyone that you're liking? What's happening? What's
Yeah,
troubling you?
I like that.
And we used to just say our piece,
And you get to
and then
talk
everyone shares maybe would drop their 2 cents.
Yeah.
Ever maybe you could try this if you like her. Then you know what I mean. Then next man, what's happening with you?
Are
Or
you
what-
outside?
Yeah, what's
Are
happening?
you single? Are you outside?
All of this type of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that was good. That was very good. But yeah, that was very good.
So no, it's a lovely discussion. Thank you, guys.
Mm.
I wanted to have this discussion. Like I've been meaning to. Like, how can I talk to men regarding how we feel and how you feel? And I think for anybody out there, if you want to join the conversation, maybe this might be a part 1 and 2 because it's quite long. Part 1, 2, and maybe 3. Maybe you come and join us the next time we talk about similar topics. You know, and we take it from there.
Yeah, man. That's cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button below so each time I post a video you can be notified. Enjoy!